Okay, today is story time. I want to tell you a crazy story from my life and what's happened since then. And it has everything to do with braces. Are you ready? Brace yourself. Okay, before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Amber Deibert. I'm a performance coach for enterprise and strategic account executives. I work with mindset and productivity, and I help you really get out of your own way to finally achieve the potential that you've known you've had inside you this entire time. So this past week, I got braces put on again. I'm vain and I stopped wearing my retainers and my teeth got crooked and I wanted to straighten them out. And my son was getting braces. So I was like, you know what? Let's just make this a two-person deal. And I got braces. And when I had braces the first time was when I was in college. When I was growing up, as many of you know, I grew up in poverty. There was not a lot of money to go around. And so once I got to college, my grandpa took pity on me and was like, hey, I'll help pay for your braces, but I'll pay half and you pay the other half. And I was like, done. Sounds amazing. My mouth was a disaster. Like it was, it was really bad. My teeth were super, super jacked up. And getting braces this past week really reminds me of what I went through the first time around. Like I can feel the feelings of what it felt like the first time around. And it's putting me back in that version of me who was an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, getting braces for the first time, moving out of the house for the first time, taking care of herself for the first time. So let me just set the stage for you. I was renting a room from my great aunt, which turned out to be a horrible idea for the record. I was renting a room from her, and I had a part-time job at Kinko's. For those of you that remember Kinko's, I think this was maybe even before it got bought by FedEx. So I'm working at Kinko's part-time and going to school full-time. I usually had like anywhere from like 16 to 19 credit hours. I was like very determined to get my degree finished before I finished. Like I wanted to have it done in 4 years. And on top of that, some of you may know, I didn't graduate high school. I was homeschooled for part of my upbringing. And my mom said, you don't need to graduate high school because the only thing you need a high school diploma for is to join the army. And I don't want to do my kids joining the army, so don't worry about it. So for my entire high school experience, I took mostly electives and I didn't have obviously the credits I needed to graduate high school. And so once I tested into college, I obviously was very far behind. So not only did I really want to finish my 4 year degree in 4 years, I also had to do so much remedial work and go all the way back down to like the very basic classes of learning like English 990 because I didn't have the knowledge that I needed in order to take the higher classes. So this is just the picture for you. By this point, my parents had divorced. So I have a single stay-at-home mom at home trying to provide for her oodles of kids. And so I was really on my own. I was working part-time at Kinko's and I was paying for everything by myself. I worked myself through school. I didn't have any financial support from any of my parents, and it was just me. So my grandpa did say that he would pay for half of my braces. So every month I remember like filling out the check and just trying to make enough money for braces. And I remember one time in particular where my friend was like, hey, we're going to go out for burritos. Do you want to join us? And I was like, I literally don't have $8 to be able to pay for a burrito. Like I can't go out for burritos with you. And she was like, oh, well, you can just come and like my dad will buy you a burrito. And I was like, this is the nicest thing anybody could ever do for me. Like buy me a burrito. Are you kidding me? I'm this like starving college student that's trying to take care of everything myself. And I'm out in the world, like fending on my own, like trying to figure all this out, trying to make it work. And somebody bought me a burrito. Or sometimes when I would help the old people make their copies and they like, because I work at Kinko's, I'd help them make their copies and they'd give me like a $5 tip. And it was the most incredible thing ever. Like that $5 meant I could go to Taco Bell and get a grilled stuffed burrito, which if you know, you know. It's so sad they don't have them anymore, but like whatever kind of like fast food or like I was so hungry all the time, like whatever kind of food I could get, it was like the most amazing thing to get this $5 tip from people. So contrast that with today. I go into the orthodontist office. We're talking about financial, like how I want to finance this and if I want to pay monthly, if I want to pay up all up front. And they gave me the total and it was going to be like a few $1,000s. And I was like, oh, well, that's it. Like, yeah, well, let's just pay all of it right now and just have it out of the way. And it was so wild to me. And like, I get emotional just thinking about it. A part of me kind of healed seeing that. of like before it was just trying to scrape together enough money to pay my monthly bill for my orthodontist treatment versus today where it's like, it's not even going to phase me to just pay all of it up front for myself and for my son together. And like, that's not a big deal at all. And it's something that I can just take care of right away. And this is the story I wanted to bring up with you because I think all too often your younger version would be blown away by who you are today and what you have today. It's really fascinating because you don't feel successful so much when you become successful. It's only when you have little moments like this where you're able to see the contrast with where you were before and where you are now that you're able to see how far you've come. And that's so critical for so many of us because so many of us are just looking at the future. We're looking at the gap between where we are now and where we want to get to, and we're looking at how far that is. And we're thinking about everything we need to do and how far we need to get and what we need to accomplish in order to like achieve the next thing. But we don't take the time to look backwards. We don't always take the time to look at how far we've come. And it's so fun to kind of like meet past versions of yourself like I have this week when I got braces back on and remembering exactly where I was the first time I had braces and meeting that past version of yourself and welcoming them into your life today and just showing them around and just thinking like, what would 19-year-old me say about this? She would be so blown away. 21-year-old version of me would be so blown away. Like there's so many versions of me in the past that had to struggle, that had so much hardship, that had so many things that were really difficult and really hard to get through. And today I've created this beautiful life for myself. And a lot of it is because of the tenacity of that 18-year-old version of me or the 21-year-old version of me or the 25-year-old version of me or even the 35-year-old version of me. She had the tenacity to not quit and to keep going. And she has built such an incredible life for me that I get to enjoy now. And it's really a sad thing to think about how much time I spend thinking about what I don't have and what I'm going after next and like the gap between where I am now and what I want to have next. It's so incredible to just pause and take this moment and realize how far you've come. The younger version of you couldn't imagine the ease that you feel right now. It's so easy to forget how hard things used to feel and to realize how like you've made it. This is so cool. Look at what you've created today. Look at what you get to enjoy. Look at the life that you've created for your family. So why does this happen? How come we forget so easily how hard things were before, just wanting a grilled stuffed burrito but not being able to get one? How do we forget that so easily? Well, the primary reason is because of comparison. Comparison erases that perspective. We're looking at the gap between where we are and where we want to get to because we're looking at where other people are. But the crazy part about it is our comparison changes all the time. We're not comparing ourselves to people who are worse off than us. We're not comparing ourselves even to people who are in our same situation. We're only comparing ourselves to people who are in a better situation than we are. I was just reading a book. I am obsessed with this book. I love this author. His name's Morgan Housel, and he talks about the psychology of money. He talks about like what's going on in our brains that has nothing to do with the actual numbers and data, but has everything to do with like the neurosis that we have. And I love his books. They're so fascinating. I was just reading his newest book last night. It's called The Art of Spending Money. He teaches like how to spend money in a way that actually feels good to you. And he talks about this exact situation, how we're only comparing ourselves to other people. We're only comparing ourselves to people who have bigger houses or nicer houses than us. We're not comparing ourselves to people who have worse houses than us or worse situations. And that comparison that we use always kind of moves forward. You might move into a bigger, nicer house, and then you're looking at people who have even bigger, nicer houses than you. And you're thinking about that and what you want with like comparing yourself to those type of people. And Morgan says that this is what causes so much of our distress with finances is the comparison that we compare ourselves to other people. So there's some really interesting tactics that he shares in the book of how to change all of this. Like when you're looking at your wants, he says money is a fantastic tool to enable you to live the kind of life you want, but it's a horrible servant if you're using it in a way to gain status. It can be a fantastic tool, but it's horrible if you're looking for status. If you're looking for status, then literally the status seeking never ends. There's never a point where you're like, okay, cool, I win. I made it to the top. I've like achieved the status that I want to achieve. Like any point you get to, there's always going to be someone with more, with better, with fancier, with whatever it is. And so you never can win that game, and it's never ending, and it will just like make you a complete slave to earning money. However, you can use money as a tool to live out your values and live out what you want to do with your life and live out a life that feels really fun and fantastic for you. So one really interesting tool and technique that he gives in the book is imagine that you're on a deserted island. It's just you and your family on this island. There's no one else who can observe you and see what you have and see what you're doing with your money. Would you still want to buy that thing? Whatever it is, a watch, a car, a purse, a house. Would you still buy that if there was nobody that could observe you owning it? Would you buy it because of the utility of it? Or are you buying it because of the appearance that it has or the way that people will look at you when you have it? It's such a fascinating question to ask. And as I like quiz myself on this, I'm like, wow, no, I realize how much I'm doing things because of how it will look to other people and what I want them to think about me when I have this. And the other thing he talks about in the book is that there's so many things that like let's say you buy a new car. For one day, your neighbors will be impressed. But maybe the second day, they might be like a little bit more impressed. But after day 2, it just becomes normal and they're not even thinking about it anymore. You get that little like boost of status and like people being impressed with you for maybe like 48 hours. And then after that, it just becomes the new normal and like you don't get that anymore. And so then if you're seeking that, you have to go buy another one and like newer, bigger, better, just to try to impress people. So some really great advice that he gives on thinking about what you want to achieve next. I'm just going to quote this exactly from the book. He says, would I be happy with this result if no one other than me and my family could see it, and I didn't compare the result to the appearance of other people's success? Let me read that one more time because this is such an interesting question to ask yourself when you're thinking about what you're going after next and what you've achieved and what you want to achieve. He says, would I be happy with this result if no one other than me and my family could see it, and I didn't compare the result to the appearance of other people's success? This is such a good question to ask yourself of like, what really is meaningful to me? What is going to be worthwhile for me? And how can I stop comparing what other people have to what I have and using that as a measuring stick of where I want to go next? So I hope that this episode has helped you to feel so proud of yourself and really like appreciate and be grateful for all the work that you've put in to get into where you are today. And B, I hope that this helps you to kind of realign and think about what is it that I want to achieve next. I don't have to beat myself up with these achievements and feel bad that I've not achieved these things. And also, maybe it helps realign my priorities of like, how do I want to use money as a tool rather than using money as a way to prove my worth or prove my value or prove my status? How can I be grateful for what I have today and inspire myself to go after something just because it aligns with my values and aligns with who I want to be and aligns with what I want to get out of this life versus pushing myself to achieve something because I think it's going to mean something about me or people will think something about me, because they will think something about you for about 48 hours and then that feeling fades. So might as well do this in a way that feels really aligned with you. I hope this was helpful. If you want more of my content, jump on my newsletter. I send an email every single week with helpful tips to help you get out of your own way, clean up your mindset, and improve your productivity. You can get on the newsletter at mentalmastery.com/newsletter and come follow me over on LinkedIn. I post really helpful content there all the time. You can follow me by searching my name, Amber Deibert. I'll see you next week.